Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Walking This Ways Impact Voice Podcast. I'm your host, Furman Jackson Jr. We're broadcasting once again from the DFW, that's Dallas Fort Worth Tips, for those who wants to know and those who inquire. Well, we are doing our month of May, which is the new faces of Dallas series, which continues on this evening. All through the month of May, we're going to be showcasing a lot of extraordinary men and women who are doing extraordinary things here in the DFW. And we have one of the ones that are doing extraordinary things. She's doing great things here in the city of Dallas and surrounding areas, helping out couples to restore their love, their passion, having fun when it comes to sex, and making it interesting and making it fun where they're actually getting the benefits of the fulfillment of it. So we know all the relationships, we don't put in the work like we're supposed to, like in the beginning stages. We do all this stuff, but then when we get the person we with, we settle, we get complacent, and it withers and dies. And I think that's why people start wondering and leaving this and leaving that because they forgot the interest in it. But anyway, we have sexologist coaches as well with us this evening. Very dear friend of mine. She's no stranger to the podcast. Did one of her classes before. Awesome setting, awesome atmosphere. I encourage anyone who wants to learn more about sex, the benefits, the ins and outs of sex. Twila is the expert on that. She has the experience, and she would gladly guide you, coach you along the way. And she has testimonials after testimonials after testimonials of couples who got their passion back for one another. And of course, we got Desiree with us as well. Desiree was going on, which she set up for the evening. And of course,
I am.
Desiree got a lot of questions for you as well. So I know she's very excited about it. But
I look at I have been preparing for this since we decided to do the layout for all the guests on the month of May. Okay, I was like, this is one show I will not be missing. I am prepared. I switched from wine glass to my regular cup because can't be missing anything to go get a refill, right? Got my black book handy. I'm going to be taking some notes. Okay, so I am here for it. Okay, got my little robe going on. I'm setting the mood for the evening.
And you know what? Twila, Desiree, she's the expert on this because she was on the show before and she broke down a lot of stuff that people didn't realize how health plays a role. All this stuff plays a role, and that's something we don't even think about. But she's gonna break it down. So, Twila, go ahead and introduce yourself. I know you making moves, making major moves. You here now, and I know you show that you do on Instagram as well. But just go ahead and introduce yourself to the audience for the first time here. Yeah, I know you're not a stranger, but for those who
No,
know me for the very first time.
no. Thank you so much for having me back. It is a pleasure to be on the show again. Yeah, for those that don't know me, my name is Twila Be Good, and I'm a certified sexologist, sex coach right here in the Dallas Fort Worth area. And I am the owner of a Taste Sex Intimacy Coaching. And so, like Furman was saying earlier, what I do is I work with couples as well as singles on how to have a more intimate sex life. And I do a lot of relationship coaching with couples as well. And so, whether they've been married, 10 years, even 20 years, it's all about, keeping that passion going, continuing to have that connection, that chemistry, and also continuing to educate each other on what it is that they want in their relationship. And so, I cover a lot of that. I also cover hygiene. That's key when it comes to, being intimate as well as sex. Um, and then also when it comes to the foods that we eat, what does your diet look like? That plays a big part in having a healthy sex life. So that is what I do. And I really, really enjoy it. I love it. I've been doing this for about uh, 3 years now. And so, yeah, it's my jam.
And I know it's your jam. This is something that you're very passionate about. And I know you have things going all throughout the here in the DFW. And I encourage
Hmm.
anyone that's here, in not just in DFW, but outside the state of Texas, who is interested to learn. Twila is the expert on this. I sit and talk with in the class before, and the class is very awesome because it's something you really will learn, want to learn, and most importantly, learn about yourself. Learn your sexual desires,
Right.
and that's one more too, Twila. To get out of the judgmental state. And I hear a lot of times on different podcasts how
Mhm.
we know that y'all women are sexual and had those sexual exploits, but you have some guys who judges a woman on because she's free, no, free sexually. How can we break? How can we break out the judgmental zone? That's what I want to say. So a person that you with can be freely, be free who they are instead of just they gotta walk put this mask on, walk around on eggshells. That makes sense what I'm saying.
Wow. So not being judgmental, well, it's that can be somewhat challenging because if you're with your partner and maybe it's something that you want to try and explore, you may not know how to tell them that you want to, maybe it's want to get your ass spanked, or maybe you want to try, anal sex or kink or whatever that is. So what I tell my clients is, to have that conversation, the timing has to be right. It could be, not while you're distracted, of course, but it could be like over dinner saying, hey, you know what? I enjoy having sex with you, but I want to try something different. I'm interested in whatever that act is. Let's do some research on it and let's explore together. And so you want to, as you are telling them this, the person that's receiving that message, please be mindful of your nonverbal communication. Like, are your do you have an attitude? Like, are your arms crossed? Are you like really? Are you saying that I'm not good enough for you? You want to be mindful of that because for a person to sit there and tell you, this thing that they want to do with you, that takes a lot of courage, especially if it's something that they've been thinking about wanting to do for a long time. And so when they get to that point, they trust you enough, they respect you enough where they can tell you this. You want to be able to receive the message in such a way where it doesn't make them feel bad, and you don't want to come across as being judgmental. So be mindful of what you say. You don't want to say, well, why do you want to try that? The tone of voice is key when you are effectively communicating to your partner. And so it may not be something that you may be too keen on, whatever that is, but what you would want to say is, okay, I don't know much about said act, but I would be willing to try and see, or learn more about it. And so see what they say, and continue to have the conversation that way. But that can help with, when it comes to being judgmental. Now, that's when you're in a relationship. Now, say you're dating and you want to find out if the person that you're with is sexually compatible. Because a lot of times, we're out here and you're like, okay, I like some kinky stuff. I don't know if this person may be into this. And so it's like the question is, well, when do I tell them this? Should I tell them too soon, like, at the very beginning of the relationship or the interaction, rather? Probably not. I would say you want to start having these conversations around sex when each of you have come to the point where it's going to go to the next level, or both of you have said, you know what, ready to take it to the next level and have sex, whatever that sounds like. And then you can say, well, you can ask them, well, what are some sexual activities that you like, or some sex acts that you enjoy doing? You may be surprised if they are on the same page as you. So it's when you want to have that conversation. I would say, not at the very, very beginning, not at that first interaction, but later on, you've been talking on the phone for quite some time, y'all been going out, and you want to become intimate. That is when you can have that conversation and say, well, we've been seeing each other for a while. What do you like when it comes to sex? What do you enjoy? And then have that dialogue, have that conversation, and then go from there. When they do tell you something that, you maybe like, wow, really? You like pegging, for example? You know, be mindful once again of the facial expression. You don't want to run them off. But just take it in and be like, okay, well, not sure if I'm really into that. And then, it's a compromise as well. But the main thing is when you are having these conversations, the timing, the tone of voice is key. Making sure that there are no distractions. One big thing that I always tell my clients is remember, If you are feeling halt, if you are feeling hungry, if you are angry or have an attitude, if you are
It
feeling
ain't gonna work.
lonely or tired, you don't need to stop. You need to, step away, walk away, and not have a conversation with the person. Yes, you know, because you don't want to have that conversation when you're feeling all of those things.
Right.
I wanted to say something real quick in case anybody that's watching.
Yeah, I hope I
No,
answered your
you look
question.
at. Yeah, you did. If you guys are tuning in and you're watching us right now live, thank you first of all. But second, no, do not adjust your screens. She is that is her microphone. I watched her on the last time she was on the episode here, and yes, like we're loving the energy. This one's colorful, loving that as well. So just wanted everybody to know, yes, that is a dildo she is using as her microphone. We are all here for it. So I want to get down to some nitty gritty stuff. Furman knows me. This is
Yes,
how I'm gonna go.
it's
Okay,
my dildo microphone.
like look. So on the nitty gritty side of things,
Mhm.
definitely love all that you've already shared with us. But let me ask you this: what would you say is a good, healthy average number of days of the week for a couple to have sex?
So out of 7 days, I'll say this: it really depends on the couple. Um, I could say, well, you need to have sex, 5 days out of the week. One couple may be like, well, no, that's just way too much. I'll be satisfied with 3 days. It's really, depending on that couple, their sex drive, life, what does life look like? Are you guys truly busy where you're traveling a lot? Because, that can affect how many times you do have sex. And so out of 7 days, I would say, at least 2 to 3 times a week. If you can get it in more, great. Why not? At the end of the day, and it could be quickies too, it could be phone sex. It could be where you guys, maybe masturbate together. That's all great too. So, you can do that. You also have to factor in, do you have kids? Now you got to have that workaround. Kids shouldn't stop you from having an active sex life. They shouldn't. Once they go to bed, then that's our time for us to get it on. Or take a
Yeah.
shower together. Need to create those boundaries definitely when you have children. Right. But I would say out of 7 days, at least 2 to 3. Personally, myself, I'm good with 5,
Okay, girl. Okay.
maybe 6.
If we can make it work every day, we're good with
Yeah.
every day, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing that can fix an attitude better than some good sex, right? I'm taking my
Right.
notes here too. Okay.
Right. Sex is a way to relieve stress. It releases, those endorphins, the um, all of those sexual energy, that you have pent up inside of you. It releases all of that. And so, once you release that, the stress, you calm down, you can be having an attitude. You probably just need to get laid.
Yes.
Seriously, like stress helps. Masturbation is one way to relieve stress. Hey, why not? Having those orgasms releases all of that's built up tension that you have. So the more you have healthy sex, you're not gonna be having this attitude all the time.
Absolutely, absolutely. I agree with you completely. And
Yeah.
so,
Hmm.
what would you say for those couples out there that, that are insecure? Like maybe the male is insecure about the fact that the female has dildos in her toy box, right? And so
Hmm.
sometimes they're good with it. Sometimes they say they're good with it, but we see it too that they are insecure about the fact that that can get her off. So what advice would you give for those that are listening?
Well, first of all, that is all mental. You cannot allow a piece of plastic, silicone, glass, whatever, to compete with the human dick. I mean, at the end of the day, like seriously, um, this has no movement on its own. I have to do that, and so I would tell them, don't be insecure. Find ways to incorporate the toy with you as well to where you both are receiving pleasure from the experience using the toy. But at the end of the day, they should not feel insecure about something that is man made. There's no true connection that is better than the human connection, the human touch. And so they shouldn't allow, like, oh, she's, reaching for the dildo again. Now, why am I here? It shouldn't be like that. If anything, okay, well, let's, use the dildo together, or pay attention. What is she doing with it? What is she doing with the vibrator? How is she getting herself off on it? Let me learn, watch, pay attention. And, you're not, I mean, the human dick is not like going 100 miles an hour like a dildo will. You know what I mean? So it's like, let me at least look and see what she's doing. How is she getting stimulated with this object? And then how can we incorporate all of this together to where I'm receiving pleasure as well? And then you don't have to use, so for the women, you don't have to use a toy all of the time, especially if you have a person with you, that's your partner there. So don't feel the need to resort to a toy all of the time. It's, once again, it's mental. You don't need to think to yourself, oh, in order for me to have an orgasm, I have to go to my toy box and pull out this toy. No, you shouldn't have to. Not every single time.
Okay, I definitely like
Yeah.
that. Furman, you're muted. Furman, you're muted.
Oh yeah, he's muted.
Yeah, he's trying to talk, but he's muted.
All right, there I go. Sorry about that. I'm glad you mentioned that. Because like some guys get out watching they girl use dildos. I mean, because everybody has different fetish that they like. People have different fantasies they like. There's nothing wrong with that. Some guys like they woman to use toys on them, and because everybody has different fetishes they like and like to explore. So if a man's confident who he is, he shouldn't have no problem with it. That's how I look at it.
So, and I don't know if you saw on a recent, news thing that we discussed it on a previous show of where a woman actually died from being choked while having sex. So what did you watch? Did you see that on the news?
I saw that, and that was so sad. I actually saw it on my Instagram feed a few weeks ago, and so sad situation where the guy was having sex with a girl, and I would imagine he was, I hate to say, well, doing doggy style, hitting it from the back or whatever, and I would imagine that he was so into it, but it was feeling so good. Probably had his hands like up here, but hitting the wrong pressure point and not paying attention,
Mm.
or paying attention and being observant of her body language. She had to have gone limp at some point in time. And so when you are, practicing these different kinks, you want to be mindful, educate yourself on how to properly do this, because you truly can, get hurt. And in this situation, a young lady died. And so a lot of women, I don't want to say a lot of women, but some women like to be choked. And it is nothing wrong with that. But you need to know where to place your hands, where to press your fingers, how hard. You need to have a safe word. All of this should be communicated way before we go into the bedroom. So you want to have that conversation that goes back to, what do you enjoy sexually? If you know that you like to be choked, to say, okay, well, and if the guy's not comfortable with that, he needs to say, well, you know what? I'm not comfortable doing that. We need to learn together, because I don't want to, I don't want to hurt you. I don't want to have any accidents, or, I don't want to seriously injure you. And so, you have to work together, read on like where to place your fingers, your hands, and create a safe word. Okay. And she needs to be able to tell you, okay, I want you to place your hands here, wherever that is. But that needs to be a conversation that needs to be had way before we go into the bedroom. Like way before we go into the bedroom.
And I like that
Because-
you had. I like how you had the same thought of maybe it was that he was choking her when he was from behind, because our guest that we had on the show that day that we first discussed it, she was like, how could he not tell? If he's looking at her. And I said, well, how do you know he was looking at her? How do you not know that it wasn't from behind? So I'm glad that you had thought that same thing. So I actually have a viewer that's watching, and instead of them posting their comment, they have actually texted to me. And so her question is she said, how can you work with a little one?
Oh, the gherkins. Okay, so if you have a gherkin,
I'm
okay,
done. Let me get a drink for that one. Hold up.
so once again, everyone comes in different sizes. Everyone's different shapes, sizes. This, it is what it is. Um, but for a guy, if he is not well endowed, maybe that's what he's thinking, or if he is, a little bit on the smaller side when it comes to his penis, then you got to find different positions to where you can really feel all of him. So he can hit all of your walls, if you will. And that could be getting like a pelvic pillow and putting it up under your pelvic area. So he's entering you more like this. Okay. So you're elevated. So you can like really feel more of him. Could also mean where if you're standing, then she needs to be bending down in front of him and he's hitting it from the back that way. May have to like get on your tippy toes, depending on height and everything. But if she's like doing that, she can, hold on to her ankles or his ankles. Balance is key. So I would not recommend this if you're drunk because you may fall over. But so when you're in this position, you want to make sure you do Kegels. So you want to tight and then open up, and then tight and open up, and that way you can feel them more. But it's all going to be different positions. It may be like if he is on top, once again, that's where you get that pillow, put it up under the pelvic area so she can be elevated, so he can like really reach her and she can like feel more of him. But Kegels are going to be the key. If the guy is small, and everyone's definition of small, everyone has their own definition. Some women may say that 4 inches is too small. Some may say that 5 is too small. It just really depends on what your personal preference is. But nevertheless, Kegels are key. Also exploring and finding different positions, and also letting him know, I like this position. Like this position is great. If you're in that moment, stay right here. Maybe they need to, because it's all about rhythm too. Maybe they need to go to the left, or maybe you need to adjust as well. But once again, it's all about positions, and Kegels are great for doing when you have a small man. And once again, when it comes to size, we focus a lot on size, and so friend right here is probably 7, and this is girth and length. And so girth is how wide the guy is. So if the guy is small, he could be, may not have a lot of length, but he's girthy. So he's got a fat one, okay? Which is okay. But then, you have some guys that have a lot of length and it's skinny dicks. So it's like, that's okay too. Once again, it's all about what your preference is. What pleasure are you receiving from the person, So I really don't like to focus on a lot of times with size, because it can be an enjoyable experience if they know what they're doing. The way they know what they're doing is if you tell them what you like. My motto is, if you can open up your mouth and suck his dick, you should be able to open up your mouth and tell him what you like and what you don't like.
I'm here for it. So another thing I would like to say, let's talk more about doing Kegels. For the lady viewers on here, how important would you say doing Kegel exercises is for, for everything? Like, let's talk about that. So tell me your input on the Kegel exercises.
So for me personally, I think they're great. Kegel exercises, from what I've been reading, they help when it comes to creating more tightness when it comes to the walls, strengthening those walls. Because the older that we get, everything tends to drop, including the pelvic area, and those pelvic muscles tend to become just a little bit looser, after you've had, children and so forth. So Kegels are great. Continue to do that throughout the day, and it's just an exercise that no one even knows that you're doing, and also. Now I would say this: if you're having true pelvic issues and pain when it comes to sex, please go see a doctor, because they may say, well, I don't want you to do Kegels. We need to do something else. Okay. So please be mindful of that when you're having sex. And if you notice that it's extremely painful, you may have some other issues going on. And that is when you need to see the doctor. But overall, Kegels, I say, go ahead and do them throughout the day. It's just to help, keep your walls, it's exercise for the vaginal walls.
Yes,
So,
yes.
why not do that? Yes. And you
And
can
I'm
do
gonna
the Kegels. Hmm?
go. No, go ahead.
Now, I was going to say, you can do Kegels when you are, truly having sex. I want, my motto is, my pussy speaks. And how she speaks, I have her to talk. Okay. And so, like, if he's inside of me, I want to grip, and then I want to open up. And I want to grip, and I want to open up. So that is how, she needs to talk while I'm having sex.
Love that. And I'm gonna give a shout out real quick. First, I saw Daquan pop up, so definitely love Daquan. Love all the support he always gives us, and then also my friend Deidre that just chimed in. I saw from and popped her little comment up on there. So that is one of my longtime girlfriends. We have definitely, I mean, we've been through it. Okay, there's not anything
Oh,
about either
wow.
one of us, sex life and all, that we don't already share with one another. Okay, so thank you, Deidre, for also tuning in. And then I saw another person. Was it a Michelle that popped up? So I want to thank that
Yeah, that's
Michelle
my
for
yeah.
okay, your aunt. Why do you always have your
Yeah,
relatives
big shout
on?
out to
Like
big
whenever
shout
I
out
am.
to my aunt.
Yeah, like so.
Yeah.
We yes, and we appreciate you for being on. So I definitely want to say, yeah, I agree completely on Kegel. So I like. And you'll know me. I'm very blunt. Deidre will vouch for
Mhm.
this. I'm blunt. I think Furman just in the last couple months working with me will tell you I'm blunt. Kegel exercises all day long. You don't have to have Kegel balls. Yes, I own them. Yes, I'll use them. Yes, I think they've made a difference. But I do like a really silly thing. So here's my self disclosure. So obviously there's nothing more frustrating when you're stuck at a red light, right? So I will always try to, if I get stuck at a red light, I'm doing my Kegel exercises at my red
Mhm.
light. And so that I'm not thinking about being frustrated, that I'm at the red light. So then when the light turns green and I go, then I just, stop doing them. If I get stuck at another red light, I'm like Kegel time. So I make it a part of my daily routine. And I'm supposing it's working because I haven't had any complaints. I've actually had some compliments of using the Kegel ball. So I definitely all for that. So and then definitely just wanted to say that this is like, I love everything that we're discussing. I know
Mhm.
it's good stuff, it's important stuff, it's stuff that you should talk about. You should be
Right.
able to have a conversation about sex. Like if it's a norm, right? So many people think that they can't discuss it, or that you're going to be judged because you have questions.
Mhm.
And I think that's sad. I think that having a healthy sex life is so important to a relationship. What would you say for those that say, for instance, I mean, you really do love this person, right? But the sex is just not hitting the mark. Okay, how do you think that relationship, like some people, sex is like really an important thing. Like, obviously we don't want to stray from our marriage. We want
Mhm.
that good, you know, we want that good dick, right? So,
Right.
what advice would you give for those that might be struggling in that area?
Oh man. So I would say this: the clients that I do work with, that is the questions. That's why they're coming to see me. And it's like, we've lost it. At some point we've lost it. And so we have to have that conversation of, well, when did you lose it? What has transpired? What has happened? And a lot of times it goes back to communication. It goes back to the intimacy is lost. Well, he doesn't touch me like this, or she doesn't touch me like this. Well, have you told them? As we grow older, individually, our relationship, we're growing together. So we're changing individually, and the relationship is changing. And so when it comes to the actual act of sex, it's changing as well. Things that you used to like 10, 15 years ago, you may not like that anymore. And so you have to be able to tell your partner, I used to enjoy this, but this is what I like now, and be willing to have an open mind and be able to receive that message. And a lot of times it's just not so much the physical aspect of sex, it's the intimacy that is lacking. It's spending that quality time with each other. It's having that spiritual connection. When I say spiritual intimacy, I mean like not a religion. I'm talking about like enjoying nature. That could be just a walk in the park. That could be watching the sunrise, whatever that is that you want to get back to what you used to do as a couple. And so it starts there. And then it goes into, okay, well, maybe I want to try something new when it comes to sex. Or maybe I want you to touch me here on my breast. Or, maybe I want you to, suck my dick like this. Whatever that is, you need to be able to articulate your sexual needs and wants to your partner. Because at the end of the day, if you guys have been together for X amount of years, yeah, you're going to get complacent. That's the reality of it. But it's like, okay, how can we get this spark back? Maybe we need to have a date night. Maybe, you need to go out and not wear any underwear. I tell my clients, when you go out to dinner, sit at the booth, but don't sit across from each other. Why are you doing that? Sit next to each other.
Yes.
I'm not a big fan on underwear. Like, first of all, I'm going through premenopause, so the less clothes for me is best. So I'm like, why wear underwear? Don't wear any panties. Let them finger fuck you up under the table. Get some sanitizer. Wipe your fingers off afterwards. You got to spice it up like that as well. So it's okay to do fun things like that. That will help get that spark back again. Laughter is key. That's a good way to get the sex back again. All of this helps with the physical. Also, maybe you want to have dirty talk, that's cool as well. Or sending sexy photos. So all of these different uh, non-sexual acts, if you will, can help with the physical act of sex itself. But it goes back to communication
And
is key.
thank you. And I just have another friend who just messaged, and she says, what advice would you give for a partner when he's always wanting his dick sucked, but he does not ever want to go down on me?
Yeah, that's the best thing to ever do to go down. Watch something.
I would ask, it's so funny because some men don't do that. I would ask why. Maybe he had a
They
bad
don't know if they missing out.
experience, and maybe the woman that he was with before, maybe she had some hygiene issues. I don't know, and it stunk really bad, and it just wasn't working for him. I don't know if he's pussy traumatized by that or what. So may want to, you know, have that conversation and say, why don't you want to do this act with me? Maybe that's not his thing. Everyone has different preferences. And so for some women, that may not be their thing. They may not want you to do that to them all of the time. They could probably care less. Some women are like that. So it just really depends. But I would truly have the conversation and ask him and say, hey, babe, I really enjoy, giving you head and, having oral sex with you. Just, curious, why is it that you won't do that to me? I would enjoy that as well. Maybe he doesn't know how to do that. Maybe he is, feeling insecure when it comes to that act as well. Maybe someone has told him in the past that it was trash. His head game was trash. And now, he doesn't know what to do. So I would have that conversation and ask, why doesn't he want to? And go from there. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That
Let
would
me
be the
ask that
start.
too. Yeah, I want to ask that. Is it a? I know it's a proper way to go down on your girl, and some guys don't know how to do that. They don't know, and they don't know how to do it because some women said they experience some guys, and what they do a lot of biting down there, and that's just so they can get down with it. They just be biting on it.
I, wait a minute, you lost me at biting because I'm confused.
Bite like they sit there and bite, like literally just bite. They don't know how to do it properly. Where,
she's
where
trying to figure it out. I don't know if maybe extra like nibbling to, maybe he means like on the clit or something. Maybe that's what he's thinking of.
Maybe it's nibbling because I
Yeah,
know if you biting on somebody clit, that's a wrap. That's like biting on your dick. That's biting right there. Like maybe you mean like a nibble or something. At
yeah, they
any
don't know,
rate,
they don't know how
you
to do it
should.
properly.
First of all, we're not biting. At least you're not biting me. Okay, that may be your kink. Maybe you want your clit bit. I don't know, but I would say.
Look, we're not
Um,
judging.
No,
we're not.
no, it's not. I mean, 'cause
Trust
that's
me,
the
we're
best
not
thing to
judging.
do.
Okay.
Because kissing the lips, the clicking stuff, that's any man loves doing a woman like that. I never know some guys who
Oh,
don't like
I
that.
know
That's
some.
weird.
Yeah, I
I
would
know
say
some.
there are. I definitely know some that's just like not for them. And then in return, whenever they're always expecting though that they do want to get their dick sucked, then it's a thing of sometimes it's a you start to feel resentful for it, or you kind of feel like
Hmm.
I even know some women that are definitely prudes about it. Like, I'm not gonna suck dick. Some say that's what a whore's for. You
Some
have
women ain't
like
good at
different,
that.
and some women aren't. But again, what's exactly what she had said about just having that proper communication. Maybe he likes it sucked harder, faster, slower, whatever his preference may be. You kind of got to also
Hmm.
listen to his body language. So some of that, communication is nonverbal communication that we need to be paying
Right,
attention to.
right.
And I think that's really
Hmm.
important, even when it comes to, if a guy's sucking on your titties or he's biting on your nipples, you need to pay attention. Is she pushing you off because it's just a little too much? Or, are you biting too hard? I mean, communicate. If it's not feeling good to you, there's nothing wrong with saying, take it slower, a little
Hmm.
harder, a little deeper, a little rougher. That's where you're going to find that healthy balance of a good sex life, right?
I would agree. I would agree. It's the conversations you have before you have sex, and it's the conversations that you have while you're in the actual act. So what you were saying, I like it when you're biting me here, or you can just say bite harder, or go faster, go slower, touch me here, or stay right there. Now, in the meantime, you need to listen. you know Once again, pay attention to the body language as well. Is she flinching? Is she pushing your head away? What is she doing in return? So you have to be observant, you have to be aware, you have to be in tune. And when you're with that person over a few years, you should be in tune with each other. After a while, you kind of know what each other likes. But once again, we change as individuals, we change as humans. And so when you have been together for so long, as you're changing, you need to say, hey, look, I used to like that. I don't like that act anymore. I like it when you do this. That's also part of the conversation as well. But yes, when you are in the act, you need to let that other person know, hey, this feels good to me. I enjoy that. And so also after you have sex, when you're having aftercare, aftercare is something where you're just laying there, a lot of times we'll say we're cuddling. We're laying there, and it's that afterglow. We've come off of this high, the sex was great, we are de-stressed. And so that's when you can have, the conversation, say, hey, look, that was great. I really enjoyed when you did this. I enjoyed kissing you, touching you. I really enjoyed this position. Whatever it is, communicate that way as well. And that lets you know, okay, well, look, this was great. She enjoyed when I kissed her here. He enjoyed when I did this. And so you can make a mental note of that for next time, because everyone's playbook is different. Everybody's playbook is different. So, you may have sex with, the person before me, and he or she may have enjoyed that. Well, I may not like that, especially if you're over there biting clits. You're not about to bite my clit. No, we're not doing that, sir. So you want to have that. You need to realize that everyone's playbook is different. My
Absolutely.
playbook
So
Yeah, I would ask this one
is not the
too.
same as yours.
Yeah, I would ask this one too. The cleanliness.
oh
Make sure
Lord,
you
here we
have
go.
no sores around your mouth.
Oh,
That
hygiene.
Those,
Oh yeah.
look at
hygiene, yeah.
he's about to
That
throw out those
not.
baby wipes any minute
I
now,
know you
right?
mentioned you gotta have baby wipes because some dudes, some people like to have their butt ate out. You gotta have. I mean, you gotta have the baby wipes. Somebody for crud around it. But oh, I mean, come on.
Well,
But the whole like make sure your
hygiene
fingernails
is
clean.
key. Yeah,
Definitely.
hygiene is key.
Yeah.
Oral care. Yeah, oral care is huge. Even for kissing. Kissing is a very intimate and passionate act, and so making sure you don't have any mouth sores, cold sores, um, your dental. That hygiene inside of the mouth. Do you brush your tongue? Do you scrape your tongue? What's going on inside of the mouth? That oral care outside of the mouth when it comes to lips. when it comes to the genitalia, your penis and the vaginal area, the vulva, the lips, all of that. What does that look like? Are there any sores, down there? When it comes to the lips on women, those labia lips, a lot of times we can get small tears or cuts if we shave, and you can have those small tears. They're very, very painful, but they can come from shaving or wearing too tight of undergarments. And so you have to be mindful of that as well, especially if a guy's gonna or a guy or girl is gonna go down there and start, eating you out. You need to tell them, say no. You need to let people know if you got some stuff going on. Also, when it comes to hygiene, if you're going to have anal sex, some people they may have an enema. They may do an enema before they have anal sex. Get all of that out. Okay, all of that waste out. Anal sex is a little bit different. You really have to make sure that your booty is clean because you got this penetration is going up there, and you want to make sure that all of that's clean. If you're going to start eating those groceries, you spreading those cheeks. You don't want to be
those
like
groceries. I can't with her.
That's true. You gotta be clean,
I'm not
but
eating
be clean.
groceries, and you don't what because it's a sniff test. We've all done it. You go
I'm
down
so
there
bad.
and you sniff, especially this the first time y'all having sex, and you want to go down there
Mm.
and you sniff, you get right down to the navel, that belly button, and you start kissing that inner thigh, and
And
Mm.
you're already smelling to see if it's safe. You're
you
like,
and
is
if
this
Ugh.
if
is this spoiled or not spoiled? Like that's what y'all are doing already,
and that's
right?
when you rise back up and you say, let's go take a shower together, and then you take this shower
Mm.
together and wash each other because hey, look, hygiene is key. But when it comes to anal sex, you want to make sure that I call it the ATM, ass to mouth. You need to be careful of doing that. Having the ass and then just going straight to the mouth. No, 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 no. You
Yeah,
want to eat
no.
groceries? Wipe your face off. I would say have
Mm.
a second toothbrush. Don't use the same toothbrush you use every day, and you should have your grocery toothbrush too. You eating out toothbrush.
So and I think that's important too, like how you handle that situation as far as like if it doesn't smell fresh and like you're hinting, okay, let's go take a shower. Definitely don't want to do it to where she's offended or he's offended, whichever way it's gonna go, okay? And I think that's something that like, I can say even for a self-disclosure part on my own, when I was living out of state and Deidre, like I said, best of friend knows it all. This guy, like, oh my gosh, okay, like when I say I don't know if it ever grew. Okay, and luckily I'm not saying any names, so I feel like I'm okay to talk about this openly, right? So,
Hmm.
I mean small, okay? And he would send like these pictures and be like, daddy wants you and stuff. Okay, listen, first of all, okay, I don't know. I literally was like, I was not sure how to handle, like, I could not even be aroused. One, because I knew obviously, that was not satisfying me. Now, could he eat out like a hungry man? Yes, he could. So
Hmm.
obviously, he made up for it in that direction. I very willingly decided to have toys in it. But I mean, even like to Deidre, and guys, if you're watching this, don't shame me for what I'm about to self disclose. I literally had to send a picture of this little tiny thing that he had like this, toy on him about wanting, do you want daddy and all this kind of stuff. And I sent it to Deidre and I was like, Deidre, what am I supposed to do with this? Like what do I do with this? Right. And so, like, how do you think that was like, what do you think would, as far as advice goes, to handle a situation like that where you don't want to hurt this person's feelings, but it's even more of a turnoff, I guess, when he's wanting to think that he's talking dirty about it. Like if like you want, no, I know I don't want that. Guys,
I'm
I'm not
bored.
sending out all I'm not sending out everybody's dick pic, okay? I just want to go ahead and put that out there first. I mean, not
I
everybody's.
would
That sounds so boring.
I
Like you
would
said how he said
say
it. That sounds boring.
It's what?
so
It sounds boring. How he said that to you. it sounds boring. Like,
I mean, it was obviously probably a little bit more elaborate than that. I'm just trying to say, like, when you're using the word daddy to this
you know what
tiny
I'm saying?
to
It
this
sounds boring.
tiny
Like,
to this
you
tiny
want
little
daddy.
to this
Like,
tiny little penis.
it sounds creepy. You want daddy.
You
Like,
know, so some guys do talk like that, unfortunately, and not every woman receives that in a loving way, if you will. Like that doesn't do anything for some of us. And so, it depends on if this is just somebody that you are just, friends with benefits or if you're in a relationship with this person would kind of determine how you want to have that conversation going forward. So, if you were in a relationship with a guy, say, I enjoy when you talk dirty to me, but I'm not a big fan of daddy. I mean, I'm not personally, that's not my thing. So I will let a guy know that does nothing for me whatsoever. That verbiage does nothing. Um, Even an act of kissing my ears, I let them know, don't kiss around my ears. I don't like that. That turns me off just like that. And so it's okay to tell them that. Say, you know what? If you enjoyed the picture, I enjoy you sending me pictures. I don't prefer the term daddy. That's not doing anything for me. Once
And
again, he's done that before and somebody enjoyed it, or no one has
right.
said that they didn't like it. So he doesn't know any better.
they didn't want to hurt his feelings.
And so he's thinking, okay, well, I can just say this with anybody. It could also give him this ego boost because he
Yeah,
already
that's what I
knows
was
he's not
thinking. Yes, that's
right,
exactly what I was
right,
thinking. Is
and
that it's more of like he just wanted to
right.
kind of pump his own self up, right?
Right, right. And a lot of times, if a guy is not well endowed, he may try to make up for it by using certain terminology or ego is going to be like extremely big or whatever, or he's going to be able to eat you out like nobody's business because he is lacking in another area. So to have that conversation is first of all, I don't like the term daddy. You can keep sending me these pictures, or thanks for sending the pictures. However you want to phrase it, you don't have to send those anymore. It really depends on the relationship dynamic with you and this guy. So
Yeah, and
that is what
thank
I would
God,
feel about him.
thank God he was able to, definitely, he was definitely talented in that area. So we're going to give him kudos for that in case if he happens to see this podcast. I don't want him, he probably knows by now that who I'm referring to. But let's also, let's talk about how do you feel is the, like, so say if a relationship, if somebody was, if they stepped outside of their relationship, okay,
Mm,
and but they want to work on that marriage, but then there's always going to be, whether it's she cheated, he cheated, getting over that hurdle that you find, of not maybe
mhm.
thinking, is he thinking about her, or if he's saying, is she seeing him when she's fucking me, right? So
Right,
how
right.
would you say is a good healthy way if you really truly want to work on that relationship but somebody has stepped outside of the relationship?
Oh wow, great question. I would say first of all, counseling is key. You need to talk about why that person did step out. What made them want to do that? And so go to counseling. Actually talk it out to find out what the underlying issue is. Something happened to where this person decided to step out of their marriage to go and be with someone else. Whether that was, to have sex, whether that was to just go out on dates, whatever that looked like, they did it for a reason. So I would definitely start there. The biggest part with all of that, even after counseling, is learning to not live in the past, which is going to be the biggest thing, and learning to let that go, whatever letting that go truly looks like. Because what can happen is you don't want to keep bringing it up over and over and over again, especially if the person is saying, I know what I did was wrong, we're going to counseling, I don't want it to happen again, it's not happening again. I want to, because at this point you got to get that person's trust back. And so how do you do that to where that person can trust you again? It's going to take time. It's not going to happen overnight. But this is one thing that I would advise couples to seek counseling first. Continue to go to counseling. To, continue to maybe have not only couples counseling but individual counseling as well, and to talk those problems out. and find those solutions. So definitely start there. But also, once again, don't live in the past and be able to, forgive. You may not always forget, but definitely forgive, but don't live in the past and continue
And
to bring it up over and over again.
I agree with you on all of that. And I think, we're human. Of course, it's going to cause an insecurity until obviously that trust is built back. So,
Hmm.
when we're talking about insecurities, I think that, that's another like thing that, maybe you can elaborate more on as far as like how, for a lot of females, when you're insecure, it's harder for us to have an orgasm, right? So
Mm.
when we're having sex, it's if having an orgasm, a mental part of that plays so much into it. Where a guy, it's like it feels good. He doesn't have to be like mentally into it like a woman does. We have to feel beautiful. We have to feel secure. We have to feel desired. So what advice would you give for those women that are maybe having some insecurities that it is also causing an issue with them being able to have an orgasm?
Oh wow. So yeah, when it comes to insecurities, it is what are you telling yourself every morning? Are you speaking life into self? You look in the mirror, what do you see? What are you telling yourself? If you are unhappy with your weight, then I have the resources out there. There's plenty of things where you can actually adjust the weight if you aren't happy with your size, for example. It's one thing where you just truly need to look into the mirror every morning. I'm big on affirmations. And what are you truly telling yourself? Touch yourself and say, I enjoy, my breast. I like my stomach, but maybe my stomach is too big and I want to lose weight. So place your hands on that area where you want to change and then do something about it. But it starts here. It's mental. And it's also telling yourself, I'm beautiful. I am sexy. I am deserving of love. I'm deserving of passion. I am deserving of pleasure. Because at the end of the day, we are. I'm deserving of a healthy relationship. It's telling yourself that every day as you take a shower. When you're taking a shower, one thing I tell my clients is to, as you're washing your body, be gentle with your body. This is your temple. So washing your body, soft, gentle strokes, And then you can also say, I'm washing away shame. I'm washing away fear. I'm washing away doubt. I'm washing away anxiety. When you get out the shower, how do you pat yourself dry? How do you touch yourself? The skin is very sensitive. And so are you being rough with your skin? You wouldn't want your partner to be too rough on you. And so you need to pat yourself dry. Something my grandmother used to tell me, you pat yourself dry, be gentle with yourself. This is your temple. And so that's what I do every morning. And so when you put your lotion on your body, your moisturizer, I'm hoping you're not walking out this house ashy. So you put your lotion on, your shea butters or whatever, and you're saying, I am applying love, I am applying pleasure, I am applying happiness as you put the lotion on, and you take your time. You should do that every morning over and over again. That can help with releasing these insecurities and saying, I am secure within my body. But my thing is, if you aren't happy with, say, if it's your weight, for example, a lot of times women, that's our biggest thing. We aren't happy with our weight. We've had children. We aren't happy with our weight. And so that goes into the bedroom because now, it's like, oh, I have stretch marks, or, my breasts are now sagging, or, my stomach isn't what it used to be. At the end of the day, you have to tell yourself, okay, I'm still beautiful. I've given birth, whatever happened. Okay. So you want to be able to tell yourself that. Um, but when you're with your partner, he's looking at you because he's thinking you are beautiful. You are an amazing mom. You're an amazing person. And so he loves all of you. And so, he's not worried about all that. We are.
Right.
That's the
Yeah.
issue.
Absolutely. And I
That's the
know,
problem.
yes. And I know, I mean, I've got my phone is blowing up over here with so many questions, but I know that we need to take a commercial break real quick. And for me, a potty break because that wine is definitely running through me. So, if Furman, if we can take a quick break, I definitely have a whole lot of questions that I need to
Ooh,
ask you from some of these viewers.
Oh, most
okay.
definitely, most definitely. So we're gonna be right back after this commercial break with Twila here in DFW. The name of the episode is A Taste of Twila After Dark. So, are you ready to taste Twila After Dark? We'll be right back after this commercial break.
With today's technological advances and fast-paced life, BMS is your trusted next-generation IT solutions provider that keeps you ahead of the competition. From humble beginnings, BMS Company is now one of the fastest-growing software engineering service providers, with international presence and golden reputation for excellence. The BMS Company is your one-stop global destination for web development, mobile application development, digital marketing, SEO, Facebook and Google advertising, social media management, business consulting, printing services, and many more. BMS is trusted to provide timely, cost-effective solutions. At BMS, we believe in providing guaranteed results, irrespective of a project's complexity. No stories, no excuses. And core to all of our operation is that we practice what we preach, and we deliver what we promise. We're proud of our dream team of solution-driven enthusiasts comprising of industry experts in various fields, including blockchain, IoT, and AI. Our unique makeup and cooperate synergy enables BMS to add heart to technology while delivering our trademark exceptional results for our esteemed customers. Get free 3 months of hosting and 30 days SEO when you partner with us today. Call us now on 469-992-4567 or visit our website at thebmscompany.com.
Hey, what's up, everybody? We're back here on Walking This Way's Impact Force podcast. I'm your host, Furman Jackson Jr. I'm the CEO and founder of Walking This Way's Impact Force podcast. We're broadcasting right here in the DFW, that is Dallas Fort Worth, Texas. We already know that the month of May is the New Faces of Dallas series. We have different guests all through the month of May who are doing extraordinary things here in the DFW, making businesses, giving back to the community as Twila she's doing. She's pouring back into people, things that they was missing out on, but being open-minded when it comes to sex, sport, and sexuality. Sex should be fun when you're with the person that you love, the person that you respect, that you're joining each other on a mental level and enjoying that stimulation and having fun at the same time, and not to be dull and boring. Because a lot of times some people be dull and boring, but to keep the bedroom exciting, that they can really, really have fun. We thank Twila for hanging out with us here tonight.
Yeah,
We're on the
absolutely.
podcast. So, like I said, we are broadcasting right now on Twitter, Facebook Live, and YouTube. So hey, follow us on Twitter. Subscribe to our YouTube channel right now. If you're on YouTube, hit that notification button, like, subscribe, comment, and share as well. It's free to do so. Also, we are still accepting commercials, everyone. If you really want to, if you have a brand, a business, or you have an upcoming event, submit that commercial to us. We'd be glad to play it here as we go live stream every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Saturday. So get them on in. We want to support your back, showcase everybody what they're doing here as well. Also, big shout out to everybody that follow us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Spotify, and all social media platforms. All you gotta do is pull up Walking This Way Impact with Podcast. We're gonna pop up because this episode will be on there tonight as well. Also, so we do welcome Twila. She's an expert in sexology. We're gonna take it back to the beginning. Let's take us to humble beginnings. How did you step upon this exciting mission that you're doing? Just giving back, because when I met you, I never really heard of the term sexologist when I met you here on social media. But take us to humble beginnings, how you made this a entrepreneurship for you.
Oh, wow. This actually started when I was doing erotic poetry. And so at the time, I was seeing a guy who introduced me to BDSM and kink, and I really I liked it. I was like, "Ooh, like this is my thing when it comes to sex." And so I would start writing about it, and then I would incorporate a little bit of fantasy and reality. And when I would go out and perform, I would dress the part. So meaning I would wear like a collar, and I'd have my handcuffs on, and so I was really into it. And I would notice that people would come up to me afterwards and be like, you know what? It's refreshing to see a person of color that's into kink and into BDSM. And I was like, oh, wow. Okay, cool. And so COVID hit, and I was like, how can I truly make this into a business? And, I'm big on being quiet, being still. And when whatever, if you call them God, spirits, whatever that is, when universe tells you to wake up, wakes you up at 3 in the morning and you need to listen. And that's literally what happened. Woke up at 3 in the morning. And I was like, I'm going to be a sex coach. I never heard of a sex coach a day in my life. Well, no, I take that back. I remembered Dr. Ruth. And I was like, I'm going to be the black Dr. Ruth with an afro. And so I don't know if you guys remember who Dr. Ruth is. I'm telling my age here, but she was this little Russian lady, and she had her own show on TV years ago, and she's talking about sex. It's all about sex education. And so I was like, I'll be a sex coach. And so I went online and found class and got certified during COVID. And yeah, fast forward, here we are with a taste of sex. And now I've incorporated not only sex classes in the DFW area, like I said, in person or virtual, but I also have couples relationship coaching. And so it's a 6-week coaching session. So each week is something different. And then I also have a 4-week coaching session for singles as well. And so I do group classes and private classes. But I'm really big on healthy relationships because they do exist. Good men are out here. Good women are out here. And so how can I work with couples? How can I work with singles so they can truly, embrace the relationship that they deserve? So that's where we are.
And I love that you even said, that there are good men and good women and good couples. I saw a thing today that said, don't be mad at men, be mad at the man, right? So just because if
Right.
one individual has done you dirty doesn't mean that all men are that way. But it's so easy for us to, when we as females get hurt by a man, it's like we're now anti-men, right? Or all men are dogs, so I think that that's so important. And going back to where we had left off a minute ago, and I think definitely there is that insecurity, and especially with women's weight. I think that and we talk about this on the show all the time, that I am the most insecure person when it comes to my body, but I'm too damn lazy to hit the gym like I should. Let's just be realistic. I can only blame myself on a lot of that. But of course, then having a hysterectomy, having children, getting up in age, obviously, there's other things that have come into play. But that whole thing of trying to mentally tell myself, that it, generally men are going to be so much more turned on when you're not feeling those insecurities, right? When you're not wondering, is he seeing how saggy my titties are, or is he looking at my fat? But you're actually focused and you're into the pleasure of and the intimacy of being with that partner. So I think that is something that myself and a lot of my girlfriends even struggle with as well. One of the questions that was sent to me was to ask about talking dirty without sounding commercial or forced, saying that she struggles with finding words or phrases that don't sound like they came out of a penny romance. So what advice would you give there?
Oh, wow. I was thinking about what you were saying earlier, so I just wanted to go
I know
back
my
a bit on
ADD
that.
is always everywhere. Okay, you
No,
gotta
no,
bear with
no,
me,
no,
girl.
no, no, no. I just wanted to talk about, just quickly recap and touch up on insecurities. It's really big with us, with women, but also men too. Men have their insecurities as well as they get up in age. They have a lot going on as well. My thing is, I'll say this: it's all about mental. Please speak life into self. Just speaking positive about yourself goes a long way. Um, when it comes to body image. And I say this because a lot of times when I'm working with couples, that's the first thing women say is they don't feel good about themselves. That energy carries over into the bedroom. And your your partner, they read that, they know that, which is then turning them off because they're trying to do everything to please you, but yet you're just not happy with yourself. And so you have to really, you know, start with believing in loving yourself and telling yourself that every single day. And I'm big on this because that leads to other issues such as depression and anxiety, which is, you know, mental health is huge. And so you really have to be mindful of that. So that's a big thing that I work on with couples, mirror work. We sit in front of the mirror and we say our affirmations. So I just wanted to follow up on that. But going back to your question on how to talk dirty, wow, it doesn't need to be forced. It needs to be very natural. It doesn't need to be anything that you may have seen or heard on TV. Talking dirty doesn't always have to be crass. It could be like, I'm trying to think of some examples that me and the bearded guy do. The bearded guy is my boyfriend. So we talk dirty, but it's not like nasty talk dirty. It's like, I call his talking dirty when he talks to me about like politics. It's the intellect that stimulates me. That's talking dirty for me, you know, which for most
Girl,
people
we
could
are
be like,
not
what?
we are not on the same page.
Listen, that gets me every time. Just the intellect there, just talking about what's going on in society, just listening to him, you know, and what his thoughts are on certain social issues turns me on. That's talking dirty to me. So I say all of that because talking dirty is, you shouldn't have to mimic or copy anyone. It's truly what are you natural with. If you goofy and silly, you goofy and silly. You know, if you want to say I want you to slap my ass, I want you to slap my ass. If you want to say I want you to you know, put your plug in my hole and light me up, do that. Whatever, you know, that sounds like. Maybe you aren't the best when it comes to articulating, when it comes to talking dirty. Maybe you better at typing it out. Do that. But it's truly whatever is natural and organic to you. Because when you make it forced, it's going to come off as forced, and it's going to come off as not natural, not sincere, and not authentic. So just truly be yourself, whatever that personality is, and just let it flow. After three
I think
glasses of wine, you'll find something to say.
right. Give a little bit of
Hmm.
liquor, right? I think one of the things,
Right.
is like there, definitely not doing the politics, girl. Okay, that's where we're not going to be on the same page. But
And that's everybody. Everybody's different.
no judgment, right? No judgment.
No
But
judgment.
that's right. But there's for me, when a guy is not verbal, that to me is like kind of like I am more aroused and I can have a better orgasm when this guy, whether it's him sitting there telling me how good my pussy feels, or if he's telling me how much he wants me, like that to me, it just turns me on, right? And so
Okay.
when he's silent, I'm like, what the is wrong with you?
Now, I'll say this. If she was talking about talking dirty, not while during sex, what I was referring to is talking dirty just in conversation throughout the day. Because you can have dirty talk throughout the day. That's texting on the phone. Now, if you're in the actual act, oh, that's different. We're not talking about politics, you know, at that time. Like, because, but
Look,
when you're
because I'm
actually
sitting there
in,
thinking if he's sitting there and talking
no, no, no,
politics
no, no,
while
no,
y'all, I'm sitting there
no.
trying to picture that in my head, and I'm like,
No, talking dirty can happen throughout the day. That's foreplay. So if you want to talk dirty that way, but if she is uncomfortable actually in the moment, what comes natural to her then? So that could be, you know, whatever just comes to, you know, the first thing that you think of. Does it feel good? It feels good. You know, um, if you want to say beat this pussy up, say that. Whatever it is, you know. So you know, in the moment, you're going off of emotions. It's feeling great. Whatever comes out of your mouth, that's in the moment. But you can also talk dirty before you're having sex, which I encourage people to do because it leads up to the actual act. You know, talking dirty during the day, throughout the week, all that's foreplay. You know, sending naughty
absolutely.
pictures, all of that's foreplay. Sexting, all of that is foreplay.
And
So
she
yeah,
did
those
just
two different ways to talk dirty.
yeah, she did just confirm that it's during the act. Okay, so
Okay, so
we're
during the
not gonna
act,
advise
yes.
politics, during
No, no,
the
no, not during the
act.
act. So during the act, yes, sweetie, whatever you are feeling comfortable with, whatever truly feels natural to you, just go ahead and say it. Just blurt it out and just say it.
And I have another question from somebody else that is saying on here that she wants to know like what are helpful tips. She says that her partner cannot get all the way hard, and she feels like it's because she's not satisfying him. She said he is not at an age to where, you know, she thinks that it's a true like ED situation, and so she's just wanting to know how can she maybe improve that.
Okay, so first of all, we always blame us. We're like, oh, it's something I'm doing or I'm not doing. 9 times out of 10, it's not anything that has.
We just lost her for a minute there.
All right, she'll be jumping.
Yeah, she will.
Shortly. Yeah. Just speak it up on it. We'll keep it going to try to get back in. But I mean, that's the interesting. You know, because some women feel like they are at fault. It's not the fault, and I know Twila gonna break that down as well. Also, with that,
I'm back.
She's back.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
She dropped her dick. She had to pick it up. Give her a minute.
Well, I know Twila gonna break it down anyway, because I know that some women do feel like it may be him, but a lot of times it could be a medical condition. I know that ties into medical, but I know you're gonna break down because I know guys have stuff with ED. It don't matter what the age is, some form of fashion stuff with ED. But go ahead and break it down, Twila, so
sorry
they
about
can
that.
really understand.
Yeah, I was gonna say a lot of times we will look at ourselves as women and be like, oh God, it's something that I'm doing wrong. You know, what do I need to do? What do I need to do? I need to fix it. I need to fix it. First of all, we need to just slow down and take a step back. I would ask, what is his diet like? You know, if he's able to get an erection, but it's not a full erection, has something to do with his blood flow, because that's what an erection is. It's all about the blood flow. This is blood, if you can see it. All this is blood. And so if he's not fully having an erection, then it's something going on there. So I would start with his diet. What foods, you know, is he ingesting? Does he have high blood pressure? Is he exercising? Is he stressed? You know, when men are stressed, it affects them to have an erection. You know, their stress is different in terms of how it affects their body. When we are stressed, when it comes to sex, our mind is going, it's like a Rolodex. We are, you know, like a file cabinet. We got all these different things that we're thinking about. So physically we're present, and mentally we're thinking about 10 other things, and it's not actual sex, okay? So I would say that when it comes to him, start by asking him, you know, what is his diet like? Is he on any type of medication? Is he stressed? Something is going on there to where he's not able to have a full erection with the blood flow. If they're living together, then be mindful of the food that you guys are eating. You know, once again, for them, it's not only a mental thing, but it's definitely blood flow. And so I definitely, you know, have that conversation, you know, with him. And when you have the conversation with him, you don't want to make him feel bad because he already knows. So it's like, you know, when you have that conversation, please be mindful of your tone, you know, as you're talking to him, and don't make him feel bad about it, you know. But I would start there with food and exercise and diet.
I agree.
And stress.
It's stress. I think stress is definitely, you know, I don't think that sometimes women take it into account that maybe, you know, we're so quick to judge that men can just get it hard on anytime they want to have sex, right? Not realizing that they are human too. And so I think that is something definitely very important to take into consideration. And of course, you know, Daquan posted it up there and said, do you ever feel that people expect you to be as good as in bed as the last person? And can this affect things going forward? And I'm going to let you say your piece, and then, you know, because I mean, look at because I'll forget my train of thought here, okay? Because I'm not the professional. I do it all the time, right? So for me, like, you know what? I mean, as humans, yes, I think that we all. So I do think that we, you know, it does play a factor in relationships going forward. So, you know, if you've had this really incredible sex and you were very in sync with each other, you knew each other's bodies. And then all of a sudden, say that relationship dissolves and you're now with a new person and it's like not as wonderful. I mean, yes, Daquan, like I'll say it. Like, yes, we think, God dang, I missed that good sex, or why can't he get it off like the last dude did, right? I mean that, and this is just me
Yeah.
being honest, and and it doesn't mean that it's that way for everybody, okay? And I'm sure it goes both ways. I'm sure that if you have a girl who's adventurous in the bed and that's something that you're into, and then the next girl is very missionary style only, you can't tell me that as a man you might not stop and think, gosh, why can't she be like the last chick I was with, who wanted to do adventurous things, who liked anal or would give me head.
Mm-hmm.
So there's definitely always, I think it's natural that we're going to kind of compare those things. I think that your big thing of going forward on it is maybe where your relationship is at outside of the sex part. So right, so maybe this last person was crazy incredible in bed, and that's wonderful, but maybe he wasn't making you feel secure, maybe he wasn't being a provider, maybe he wasn't all these other things that now this other individual is. So you kind of, I mean, it's not about having your cake and eating it too. You pick and choose, I guess, what's really satisfying you and making you content in life. I mean, would you agree?
I would totally agree. I think it's very natural that we do this. You're with this new person and you're like, okay, the sex is good, but damn, the other dude I was with, it was everything was there. Like you said, it was the connection. Our bodies were in sync. He knew where to touch me. He knew how to do all of this, and he enjoyed when I did this. And so you do start to sometimes mentally, think back about like, wow, this isn't, like that with the other person. But like what you also said too is, what is this new person doing that this other person lacked in? What other areas? And so you have to, think about that, because all of that makes for a great time. It makes for great chemistry, connection, all of that, which also makes for a great pleasurable experience. And so, was the last guy I was with, was he like great in bed, but he was married, or he was batshit crazy and he was married and I didn't know it? You know
Probably
what I mean?
batshit crazy.
Like, or was he a stalker? Or like the last girl that I was with, was she batshit crazy, but this other girl right here is she gives me peace, but at least I can, kind of teach her on some things of what I like. So yeah, you have to think about that as well, for example. So,
And I mean, and
but it's
sadly,
just a natural thing.
yeah, and sadly, I will say, like a lot of women, stay even if they're not, even if the dude's not meeting the other needs that she, desires. Like, I mean, when you use the term, being hooked on that dick, like that is a true statement. I think that sometimes it's just, you're not even really in love with that person as much as you're in love with that part of that person.
I call
You
it
know what I'm
demon
saying?
dick.
Demon dick.
I call it demon dick.
I've had
Demon
some.
dick.
I've had
Demon dick
some sad
is
demon.
bad.
I've had some demon dicks in this world. Okay, they exist, obviously, and so, But what I love is that we're all, able to come on here and talk about this and talk about it. Obviously we're making jokes about things. I don't want to say about. I mean, we're having humor of it, right? But it is so important, and I think it's so healthy that we all are able to talk to your partner, whether or not if it's talking to a therapist about it, because I think that for so long talking about sex was like so frowned upon. There was like this, oh my gosh, hush, don't. And I think that's really sad, because having a healthy sex life is so important. Like, I will never, and I said this on an earlier show, I will never understand these women that, like when they're pissed off at their man, if the man's good in bed, let's go ahead and let's put that as the caveat there. If you're mad at him, you don't want to have sex, like, I'm not going to give him none. You're going to withhold because you're pissed off at him. Girl, you are hurting yourself. If the dick is good, get the dick, okay? Like, why are you depriving yourself of something that is going to make you feel better? I've never been with somebody who that was able to perform amazingly and said, I wish I wouldn't have done that because I'm mad at him. No, I'm like, almost kind of, I forget what the hell I'm mad about, right? Like, so all of a sudden the dick has erased what I was pissed off about. So I will never understand withholding sex in a relationship. I think that is so unhealthy, but sadly I know so many people that do it on both ends, male and female.
I don't understand that way of thinking as well. To me, that is using sex as a weapon.
Yes.
And how is that solving anything? Oh, I'm going to deprive myself as well as my partner because I'm mad. First of all, that's not how you handle the situation. You need to talk about it, talk about the problem, and then, find a solution, and then go on with life. But to withhold something natural that, especially husband and wife, like you're married. So I'm going to deprive you of sex and have you sleep on the sofa because I'm pissed off at you. That's not how we do things. So you need to
And
have
let's
that conversation and not use sex as a weapon. Because if you think I'm going to deprive myself, no, no, no.
right
What we're
because
going to do, we're going to talk about this and you're going to
after
come
we
on
have
over
sex.
here. We're going to talk about it and we're going to get over it and we're going to find a solution to the problem and move on. And we're not going to keep bringing the shit up over and over again either. That's what we're not going to do. Because once we talked about it,
Let's also just go ahead and put it out there. Sometimes that good angry sex is some good sex, right? That frustrated sex could almost be some of the better sex. Sometimes, you just want to pick a fight just so that you can get that good sex, okay? So
well, I would
I'm
say
just
that,
saying.
sex as a weapon, you should not do that.
Absolutely.
That doesn't do anybody any good. That is not, I will, in my opinion, a mature way of handling the situation. Because if you continue to do this, you know, that person is only going to take so many times of you withholding. And then if you want to know why a person may have stepped outside of the
Right.
relationship, then you have to go back and say, okay, well, what transpired prior to this? And so I would say, do not use sex as a weapon. First of all, get to the root of the problem, talk about it, find a solution, and continue to move forward. But don't use sex as a weapon.
And so I have a guy friend who's actually sent me a question, and he
Okay.
says that he wants to know what he and his partner, female partner, because I know this person personally, if she does not get wet very naturally, like. And so he typed this long thing, and I'm trying to take out just like the bits instead of reading the whole thing. But he was basically saying on there that, what if you don't have lube handy, and you obviously don't, she's not very wet down there. How can he improve that?
Okay. So if you don't have any type of, over-the-counter lubricant handy, you can always use coconut oil, but it has to be like the organic coconut oil. You can always use that. Um, some people are okay with saliva. That is a lubricant as well. I would say coconut oil is like the big thing because that is something that you can use on the skin. But that helps. But if you know that she's not naturally wet all of the time, then I would encourage the two of you to just keep the small bottle of lubrication, nearby. But coconut oil goes a long way. Goes a
Okay.
long, long, long way.
Okay. So what he just said is he's okay. So what he's asking is that, like, as in like health wise, on health wise, is there anything that she could be doing, like, so that maybe she was
Oh,
able to? Does that
okay.
make sense? Does that make sense?
Oh, okay. Okay. So basically, when it comes to, a woman being her walls getting naturally wet, if you will, lubricated, depending on age, as we get older, our vaginal walls start to thin, and so we aren't as wet as we used to. But if she's not in her 40s, then it could be, once again, goes back to diet. For us and men as well, water is key. Is she staying hydrated? That helps with us getting wet as well. Is she does she have the desire to have sex? Is she stimulated? That always can play a part in her becoming, naturally wet. And it could be just if she's on any type of medication, that can impact that as well. So those are some areas that can impact her from becoming wet. And it could be where, she's just doesn't get wet like that. But if that's the case, I would say start with water, diet, making sure that she's, stimulated, that she's aroused. You know, um, when it comes to men and women having sex, we have to warm up. You got to get us there sometimes. And so, guys are hard right off the bat at times. And so for a woman, we have to be, uh, we got to get turned on. It's like warming up a car. You just can't go in and just put it in there. We got to get it together. So is that kissing her? What does that foreplay look like? Maybe foreplay needs to last a little bit longer. Kissing her, touching her, maybe giving her a sensual massage to get her truly aroused and excited to where she's dripping wet. Maybe that could, mean that you could eat her out for a while, to get her there before you penetrate her. So it could be those little things as well to get her going. So I would start with
And
all of
Let me
that.
ask you this one, Twila.
Hmm.
Also, what about the sexual attraction? Because a lot of time, if a woman's not sexually attracted to a guy, she's not gonna get aroused, right? She has
Well,
to be
nine times
sexual.
out of ten,
Like
she's not
off
gonna
the
have
bat,
sex with him to begin with.
you know what I'm saying? Because a lot of times, it's not, if she's not sexually attracted to the individual, she's not gonna do
She's
anything,
not
hold,
gonna
right?
hold
really
on. You can
talk
hold
to
you
you
could
at
you could
all.
put that dick microphone towards me, and I'll repeat what you just said. If she ain't attractive, we ain't having it. Okay.
At
Yeah,
the
that makes sense too. Okay, go
no,
ahead.
at the end of the day, we're humans, and so the first thing that we see is the visual. That's 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 how we are, And so if it's not visually appealing to us, then I'm not going to um, be attracted to you. Now, you may not be
Right.
attractive to someone else, but you're attractive to me. That's different. But if my thing is if I look at you and I know I can't roll over to you the next morning in bed, I'm not talking to you.
Exactly.
Look,
Exactly. That makes a lot of
look,
sense.
and Daquan, I'm just gonna flat out answer your question. You never tell a woman she is loose, okay? Like Daquan has a
And
question on here. He says, "How do you tell a woman she is really loose and you can't really feel anything?" Daquan, don't. You better just try
let,
to incorporate something else into that bedroom. You better hope that she can enjoy some toys or something in there.
uh,
Like if a guy ever tells me that I'm loose and he can't feel it, like, dude, that'll be your last time your dick ever goes inside this vagina ever again.
now I got a question. How do you mean? How do you tell a woman?
Like he's basically saying, what if she's like not? What if her pussy isn't very tight, and so when you're fucking her, it's not like that. You're not getting that full sexual satisfaction as a
You're not
dude.
Is
getting
he trying
anything
to
out of
say
it.
that she got a high body count? She got miles on her body or something? That what he trying to say? Is she got? How do
So
you
It
tell a
has
woman?
nothing to do with a high body count. Help me out with this.
No,
Tell
it's
me I'm
kind of
not
like how do
wrong.
you tell a woman is she really loose and you can't really feel anything? It sounds like to me trying to say she got miles on her body or something.
No,
so
back me up on this one.
No, I'm trying to figure out where you getting that from. Like, is she really loose? Like, she can't feel anything. What is
so
she?
oftentimes when a woman has had children, that changes everything about the makeup of our body, which can impact the vaginal walls. Also, if she has used a lot of when I say toys, I'm talking about like different sizes. I'm talking about like different objects. Because everyone is different. And so it depends on what maybe has been inserted in her body. It depend on the size, if you will, very large objects. I'm talking about toys. I'm talking about penis size. Also, if she's older and the vaginal walls are no longer tight like they used to be, all of this does impact when you are having sex. And so, sometimes a man can enter a woman and he's like, "Ooh, I just, they the joke is I just fell in. I just slid on in and I was swimming around and I didn't really hit anything. I didn't touch anything." And so that goes back to vaginal tightness. And it could be maybe she didn't have kids and just her pelvic area, her vaginal walls aren't tight like some other women. So it goes back to Kegel exercises. It goes back to doing various pelvic exercises to get those vaginal walls tight once again. It doesn't always mean she's been having sex with a lot of people and she has a
Thank
high
you.
body count. That does not
No,
always mean that. And so his question
Thank
is
you.
right.
basically, how do you communicate that to a woman, whatever her backstory is? And the best way to do that, and it's a fragile subject, you know, is to say, And it could be, I enjoy having sex with you, but I want to try different positions because I want to feel all of you. You can word it like that. But the last thing you want to say is, damn, your pussy walls are wide and loose, or because you don't want her to say, well, your dick is small.
Thank you.
That's
I was
why
just
you
gonna use that. I
Yeah,
was just
because
gonna
that's
say
why
honestly,
I
that.
can't feel you because you
That's
small as
right.
hell.
Yeah, because what if
So
she flipped
it
that whole script on you and she was like,
yeah,
"It ain't about my vagina, it's about your small ass dick," right?
yeah, because that's what
so
the comment was.
right.
I mean, that's why I got the comments like, how do you tell a woman she's really loose? That's not to me. It's like you coming off judgment. It's coming to be like negative. Like they seem like
And
she been
it's the
around the
you have
block
to
or
be
something.
tactful with this
And
because
I
that's the
don't think
first
it's
thing she's going
yes,
to
and I
say.
don't think that it's like that. It's a negative thing. It is obviously about communication. If you care about this person and you want a great sex life, you should be able to say in a tactful way, like she said. It's no different than if to me that's no different than if one of you wants to experiment and try with toys and you haven't done it before, right? But maybe you're wanting to add that in. It's all about being mindful of how you say something to the other individual. But again, this is why those Kegel exercises are also very important to ladies. But I don't think that it's ever like a negative thing. Maybe she just truly has had some medical issues that has caused her vaginal walls to not be able to be as tight
Right,
as another woman. That is
Yeah,
right,
that's an actual thing that can happen.
but I want to ask that.
right.
I want to ask
It could
that.
also be sexual trauma. If she's had severe sexual trauma, that can impact her as well. And so, you want to, once again, be cautious, be mindful of how you approach the subject. Once again, this goes back to how to effectively communicate to that person. But, you don't want to say, okay, you loose and I don't feel shit. Like, that's not how
Yeah,
you go
yeah,
about that.
yeah. 'Cause I want to
So
talk
it
about
could
that
be a
too,
lot of
bro.
different factors.
I
Yeah, it
want to
could
talk
be a
about
lot of
that
different
too,
factors.
and I want to
Hmm.
talk about that too. That sounds like some insecurity stuff. I don't want. I'm just gonna put it out there, and I don't care who get offended. These guys now they gotta realize women being with other people that came into the picture. I don't understand like that a woman has not been sexually active before. Now if she's sexually active or she had did something in the past, now it's a problem. And I don't understand that. Whatever happened in her past happened in her past, true enough. But that's these guys' insecurities talking. Oh, you loose.
I
You know, cause
I don't think that that's being insecure. I think that's a realistic thing that could happen.
right, but
Like
it's coming off like the question is coming out, I'm gonna go tell, oh, you loose. I can't feel anything. That's negative. That I went you gotta
I don't
explain.
think that Daquan meant it in a negative way. I'm going to stick up for Daquan here. I don't think he meant that. That could be a very valid question. No different than us saying if a guy isn't big in girth or in size, like lengthwise, us asking how can we have what, like, no different than, the friend that said, what do you do with a tiny, penis? That's no different than asking the same question of what do you do if somebody's loose, and that could all be done exactly how she gave examples on if his penis is small, trying different positions. Same thing with a woman, if it doesn't feel as tight doing it in this position, trying different positions. It's there's no difference, and I think that's the big thing. And I'm definitely not coming at you, Furman, but like I'm just being like completely open. And
No, it ain't.
maybe it's the social worker in me that's saying
No, it
you
ain't
can't
that.
look at
It
it
ain't.
one way and not
Yeah.
look at it the other way.
No, it
You
ain't
can't say
that.
a
But
woman can
if you
ask about what to do with a tiny dick, but a guy can't ask what to do
no,
with a loosey goosey.
well, that's different. But I'm just saying it's coming at like not what they doing now is they coming at like you too loose. To me, that's negative. Like you don't just tell her you loose. She'll feel some type of way behind that. Now it's like you passing judgment on her. Then you find out why is she loose. Like Twila, it'll be a medical condition. We don't know, but don't just come out and find out you lose.
Well, I don't think that he would actually say, or even him
No,
asking the question. I don't think that anybody like is really just going to say, "Oh, you're loose" to somebody that you care about, right? I think it's just
right,
maybe a poor choice of wording it. He just wanted to be able to give a good example of the situation.
right. So he's basically saying, for example, I'm with a woman, she's not as tight as I'm used to. She is loose. I don't know how to articulate that to her, and so he wouldn't say those words loose. But how can I communicate this to her to say, okay, not necessarily the penetration. I'm not really feeling anything. So how do I tell her that without telling her that, if you will? That's how
Yes,
I
yes,
got
yes. That's how I
the
took it too.
question.
Yes, yes,
And so when you're in that situation and you have someone who isn't as tight as what you're used to, how can I tell this person that without hurting their feelings? And that's when you can say, okay, well, let's just try different positions. I enjoy having sex with you, but I want to try something different. Or let's, start to use maybe, like I said, let me raise your pelvic area up. That seems to be fun. Let's do this. So it's all different ways that you can actually get their buy-in to try different things without having to say, hey, you loose, if
yes.
that makes
I
sense.
Yeah, like I
I
say, you
agree.
have to reword, like
Yeah.
I said, explain when you say stuff like that. Just explain it, because it'll come off like you lose. Just
Well, I don't think anybody in
You're
their
the
right
only one
mind
who took it. You're the only one who took it that
well,
way.
is
The
because
women
going to
on
say
here,
no,
that.
the
because
women on here who would have been offended by something like that did not take it like that. Okay.
And I
no,
don't
ain't
think a man would actually tell a woman that. I don't see a man saying, hey, your pussy walls are loose. Because I, I really don't think a man would actually say that. He may think that, yes.
Because I don't think that he would want to get knocked the hell out.
yeah, you be amazed
Right.
what some folks be saying nowadays.
One of the other questions that was on here was, you know, uh, how do you incorporate anal sex when there's such a bad stigma about if a guy likes it anally that he is bisexual or gay?
Okay, so if he wants anal sex on him, then that's pegging. And that is where he is um, receiving anal sex from his partner. So basically, if he's with a woman, for example, she would wear a strap on and she would be penetrating him from behind. And so the biggest thing with that is once again goes back to communication. If that is something both parties are comfortable with doing, he's comfortable with receiving, because if he's either initiated or expressed interest, or maybe his partner is interested and wants to try that and has expressed interest, once again, are both parties on the same page? Okay, let's start there. If they are, then we need to figure out, okay, well, got to make sure we have lubricant, because the ass does not get lubricated. We know that. And then when it comes to, strap-ons, dildo sizes, all of that, if this is their first time trying this out, then you want to be mindful of how you start out. What type of dildo are you using? Better yet, I would start out to get to make sure that his ass is prepared to receive the dildo. You get those anal plugs, and he can start out with that. When it comes to and he can wear that, but when it comes to anal plugs and anything that has to do with the anus, you want to make sure that you have a lot of lubricant. You want to rim the anus first, okay? Making sure you get your fingers and just put plenty of lubrication. Okay, lubrication is key. And then you want to insert the anal plug in. And a lot of times people, they can wear anal plugs up to, several hours throughout the day. Once again, it is to get the anus, the hole, if you will, accustomed to having something in it. Okay, getting it prepared. All right. And so, okay, so you've done all that, so you're ready to go. Show's about to start. And so, she has on a strap on or whatever, maybe she's with another guy, whatever. But you said this is a heterosexual relationship?
Yeah. So yes.
Okay. So, once again, this is between the two of them. To me, if it's just a sexual act, because we got to think about anatomy, where his prostrate is, that's their G spot. So if she's hitting that from behind, yeah, he's going to have an orgasm that way. Does that make him gay? In my opinion, no, because to me, that means he would need to be attracted to a man. He just likes this particular act because of the pleasure he gets from it, but he's not attracted to a man, so that wouldn't make him gay. All right, he's still attracted to you. The question is, are you comfortable doing this type of act to him? Because you have to get into a mindset in order to do this as well.
Yeah, I
And
agree.
you want to, and as a woman, how are you now looking at your man in this truly position? In this position, how he is, do you still look at him as a man and as your man? That's a question you truly have to ask yourself. Um, is he less of a man because he's in this position? Because it's it could be considered to where I'm the dominant person now, and he is not in this dominant position. I'm talking about sex, not in just a relationship, just this particular act. And so, both parties have to truly be ready for that and what their way of thinking is going to be like afterwards. That would be my thing, and how
Yeah,
they're
and
having that
I
conversation.
I think that's going to be like that conversation with you and your partner. I agree with you on that because I can see where he's saying that might be a little bit hard to ask her, but maybe explaining having that, being able to talk openly to somebody about why you're wanting it like that. Not that it's because you're wanting it to be some guy behind you, right? Now, me personally,
Right.
I'm just gonna say, like, I have definitely educated myself, knowledge wise on pegging. It's not for
Hmm.
me.
Hmm.
Not that I'm judging for those that want to do it, but I don't see that I can be enjoyed in that act or anything. But I know a lot. I don't want to say a lot. I know a handful of people that actually they love it. And so maybe even just finding out what is the one thing maybe that she would enjoy that might make you a little uncomfortable, right? But you're going to do
Right.
it to
Right.
please her. And then obviously, then maybe she's going to be a little bit more open to want to do something that's a little uncomfortable for her, but she knows is satisfying to you. So I think again, it's that, being able to compromise and but just being mature about it, and not being judgmental. You have to keep in mind, no matter what kind of sexual preferences or adventures you want to have with a partner, it doesn't change that this is your partner. It doesn't change that this is the person that you love. It doesn't change that it's not like you said, like if you love that person, that it doesn't make him no longer a man because you're now the one who's behind him, pegging on him, right? So he's still that
Right.
person. He's
Right.
still your husband or your partner. And so I think that that's
Right.
something that you have to take into consideration with no matter what you're bringing into the bedroom. And so I think one of the other things that I think would be so good to talk about, let's talk about, the proper foods to eat. I know that there's different, fruits and stuff that a female can eat that will also help the way that her vagina tastes when she's getting ate out. So can you elaborate more for our viewers on that?
So I've seen I've done some research and read different articles, and they talk about like pineapples will truly change how a woman tastes. At the end of the day, it goes back to, I'll just say this: is it going to actually change how she tastes? My belief is no. What will happen is the foods that she truly eats, will impact the hygiene and will impact uh, I will say the overall taste. Is it going to start tasting like pineapples? I seriously doubt it. Okay. But because, the way we taste, everyone's going to taste different. But it should, I should just say clean tasting, whatever clean tasting. I'm like, it should taste like avocados. And avocados really don't have a taste, but you know when something's funky.
Right.
So foods that you need to eat for both parties are water. Well, first, let's drink water. Have to stay hydrated. Fruits, fruits. That's for both men and women. Your vegetables. I'm talking about like those leafy greens. Your the greens, cabbage. Cabbage can give you gas to some people, so don't eat cabbage before you have sex. Asparagus is good. Once again, don't eat asparagus before you have sex because that can create some gas issues. Um, foods in omega-3 fatty acids like your salmon is great. That helps, especially for men when it comes to blood flow. But the main thing is fruits, fruits, fruits for women. Pineapple, strawberries, blueberries, raspberries, and water. Water is essential. Water is key. For men,
So yeah, I was
nuts
gonna
are
say, so
good for
really
their nuts.
what you were saying basically earlier, your body's your temple, right? Like, and to have good
Right.
healthy sex, making sure proper diet, exercising, anything that we should already want to do for our bodies, that treating your temple with, self-care. So I think that
Right.
water is key to everything. Water's key if you want to lose weight. Water's key obviously in this part. So I think that's amazing. And I of course just wanted to ask that because I know that was something we said in the very beginning, and I know that we're getting towards the end of the podcast. But before we do go, can you definitely, for those that maybe still have questions, can you
Yeah.
definitely like let them know how they can find you? Maybe they found something interesting on here this evening that they
Oh,
would like to be able to come and sign up for a class with you. So can you, before we end the show tonight, can you definitely share that with everybody that's listening?
sure. So you can follow me on social media. You can go to my Instagram. It's twilab.goode. Or you can go to my website at twilabgoode.com. TWILA, the letter B, GOODE.com. I have my blog is there. I have my sex classes there. Coaching is all on my website. If you wanted to email me a question, you're more than welcome to do that as well. If you wanted to start one of my coaching sessions, I do ask that you start an initial consultation first, so we can go ahead and have the conversation, and I can truly dive into what it is that your sexual challenges and goals are. So we'll definitely start there. But you're more than welcome to follow me, like I said, on all social media. TwilaBGoode.com is the website, and Instagram is TwilaB.GOODE. I do have some upcoming classes for the month of May. May 20th, I have sensual movement. So, what does that look like in the bedroom? How are you expressing yourself through body language and body movement? A lot of times, we as women, we get into the bedroom and we are very sexually self conscious when it comes to moving our body. How can we be graceful and sexy in the bedroom? And so, I have a good friend of mine, and her name is Cherry Antoinette. She is a burlesque dancer, and so we're going to be doing some dance moves.
Oh, love
But these
that.
moves will help with different positions and that you can incorporate in the bedroom. And then I have another class coming up in June, and that is where we're doing sexual energy, all about Tantra, all about that Tantra healing. It's all for couples, going over different yoga poses, communication with our partner, but really tapping into that sexual energy. And then for July, it's all about kink. Yes, kink, BDSM, sensational play is fun. That's one of my favorites. So we'll be doing ice play and wax play and some other kinky adventures, as I like to call it. So each month I have like a featured class, but all of that is on my website at twilabgood.com.
Can I ask you a question real quick before you leave us, though? Is this
Yes.
your real name? Because I'm not gonna lie, when I saw it, I was like, "Well, what about Desiree Be Good?" Like, did you get this? Did you? Is this your birth given name, or did you just be like, "Twala Be Good"? Like, were you just owning it, girl?
While a lot of people ask me this, and I'm like, Twyla, she's good, and I'll just leave it at that.
I love it. No, I am loving every bit of it. Okay, I just had to throw it out there because that was like I was like, well, I want to be good too. Like or maybe I'll do like Desiree Be Bad or something. I don't know. So, but I love that, and thank you again for definitely coming on tonight, letting us ask some
Yes.
questions. I mean, I could literally probably sit here until people fall asleep, just with so many questions, and there was a bunch in my phone that did not get answered. And so
Oh,
I appreciate it, and I love that you came on here just to give everybody that chance that did get to ask something, or just to listen, so that we are learning that a lot of what we are afraid of is what we're not educated of, and so I think that
right.
that's so important. I would love for some of these viewers to definitely follow you for those tips on your
Yes.
social media. Sign up for one of your classes because I think that we would be a lot more open minded if we could just be a little bit more educated on how sex is so healthy for our relationships and for you personally.
Yes. I agree. And if you want to share those questions with me, I'll definitely be more than happy to answer those. A lot of times I'll do what's called Twyla's TED Talk, and I'll post like different questions on social media and have conversations that way. But I
Yeah, I
would
think
definitely love
we're I
to
think
answer
we're
those
friends now on
questions.
social media too. So
Okay.
I'll definitely have to shoot those over to you. And so, but definitely thank you. And Furman, you got anything that look, because I know we us girls kind of just took over the show this evening. So
Oh no, like I said, we're gonna be back here tomorrow night here on Walking This Way's Impact Boys podcast. And once again, I thank Twila for hanging out with us here on this evening. Great information you provided for the people, for the audience. People, they really truly engaged on tonight's episode with their questions, and that's what it's all about. Extraordinary people doing extraordinary things. And Twila, you're extraordinary in your own right. You're helping, giving
Oh,
back to the people. You have also testimonials as well. I know you got to get ready to go, but I appreciate you. I give you roses as well. Keep up the great work. Keep changing lives, and most importantly, help people be a better version of themselves while they still here in Earth and they're alive and well.
yes. Thank you so much again for having me. And my motto is sex shouldn't leave a bad taste in your mouth. So please be mindful of what you eat.
Love it.
That's it. Hey, we got to great lead, ladies and gentlemen. Remember the graveyard. Everybody had one thing in common. They thought they were gonna see tomorrow, and they didn't. Let's live life like it's our last. And most important, love yourself, respect yourself, honor yourself, work on yourself. And like Jay Z said, the goal is not to be successful and famous; it's to live your life through your talent. So that's I'm gonna
Yes.
leave that quote from Jay Z. Man, y'all have a great night. Me and Desiree in the corner. We'll be here tomorrow night with the real AD. If y'all know her on social media, she says a lot of stuff when it pertains to relationships, all that kind of stuff. Goes about that tomorrow night as well with her. So man, y'all be blessed. Have a great night. We'll see y'all tomorrow night here on Walking
All
This Way
right.
Impact Boys Podcast. Peace, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye.